多数の先生、ティラニー・オブ・ザ・マジョリティ、とは、詳しく解説せよ。
03 Mini. The term tyranny of the majority refers to a situation in which decisions made by a majority place its interests so far above those of an individual or minority group that they effectively become oppressive. This concept has been explored in political theory and philosophy and serves as a caution against the potential excesses of majoritarian rule in democratic systems. Below is a detailed explanation. Historical and philosophical origins. The idea dates back to classical political philosophy, but it was most notably discussed by 19th century thinkers like Alexis de Tocqueville and later by John Stuart Mill. In Tocqueville's Observations of American Democracy, he warned that the majority, if left unchecked, might use its power to suppress dissenting opinions, limit individual freedom, and impose its own views as the only acceptable doctrine. John Stuart Mill, in his works on liberty, argued that society must protect individuals from societal coercion even when such coercion is exerted by the majority in order to preserve freedom of opinion and diversity of thought. 2. The core concept. In a democracy, decision-making is typically based on majority rule. This principle assumes that collective decision-making leads to outcomes that are beneficial to the community. However, tyranny of the majority arises when the interests and rights of minority or dissenting groups are overridden simply because they don't represent the numerical majority. This phenomenon means that even in a system where the majority's will is paramount, there can be an abuse of power if no adequate checks exist to protect the voices and rights of minorities. 3. Mechanisms and dangers. Unchecked power. In a situation where proper checks and balances, such as a constitution, independent judiciary, or protection of individual rights are absent or weak, the majority may impose policies that are oppressive or discriminatory against smaller or dissenting groups. Suppression of dissent. When the majority's views are enforced without regard to minority perspectives, it can lead to cultural, social, or political marginalization. Minority groups may find their opinions, beliefs, or identities systematically silenced. Social polarization. The pressure to conform to majority opinions can create an environment of intolerance, where divergent views are not only ridiculed but potentially punished. This dynamic can result in social fragmentation and reduce the overall quality of democratic debate. 4. Modern implications and examples. Policy making. In many democratic societies, debates continue about balancing majority rule with the rights of minority groups. Issues such as racial discrimination, religious freedoms, and rights of sexual minorities are often battlegrounds where the tyranny of the majority is a potential risk. Constitutional safeguards. Modern democracies typically incorporate mechanisms to prevent the tyranny of the majority. For example, a constitution may enshrine certain inalienable rights that cannot be overridden by a simple majority vote. An independent judiciary can help enforce these rights, ensuring that laws and policies do not unjustly oppress minority groups. Public discourse. In the sphere of public opinion, the pressure of conforming to the majority can limit free speech or lead to self-censorship, particularly where dissenting opinions could be socially ostracized or politically risky. 5. Balancing majority rule and minority rights. The challenge lies in designing democratic systems that are both representative of the majority's will and rigorously protective of individual rights. Key mechanisms include a written constitution that limits government power, an independent judiciary to review laws and policies, a system of checks and balances between branches of government, protections for freedom of speech, association, and the press, ensuring inclusive public debate that values multiple viewpoints. The goal is to create a society where the majority can express its will without infringing upon the rights and dignities of minority groups. 6. Conclusion. Tyranny of the majority is a warning that even democratically elected governments can become oppressive if the rights of minority groups are not protected. It underscores the need for a robust constitutional framework, checks and balances, and mechanisms that ensure diversity and free expression. Maintaining this balance is crucial for the healthy functioning of any democracy, ensuring that while the majority's voice is heard, it does not smother the essential rights and contributions of all members of society.